There are certain occasions where I'm not quite sure what to wear. To wear a tie or not to wear a tie. To wear a shirt or not to wear a shirt. Those invitations you get every now and again which say things like dress to impress or business casual. But what do they really all mean? The most embarrassing thing is turning up to a venue completely underdressed. In Luke 18, Jesus talks about the pain and the suffering that he must endure once again. And as he and the disciples continue on their journey towards Jerusalem, he speaks about how we come before God, not about a physical dress code, but about how our hearts should be. First up, there is a parable about a persistent widow. She wants justice, but the judge is not compassionate. He doesn't have time for her. But she persists and persists and persists until eventually the judge gives in. He serves justice, not because he is a just man or has compassion, but because he's fed up of her nagging. Jesus says how different it would be with God, who is just. When we come with our petitions before him, we can come to God with expectancy. Secondly, there's another parable about a Pharisee and a tax collector who go to pray at the temple. Now the Pharisee, as he gets to the temple, begins to pray these prayers about how great he is in comparison to other people, about how he fasts, about how he tithes. The tax collector comes to the temple to pray, but he stands at a distance. He beats his chest and says, "Have mercy on me, a sinner." Jesus commends the tax collector because he comes to God with humility. We should come to God with humility. In the next scene, people start bringing children to Jesus, and the disciples try and stop it. They're just children. But Jesus says, "Bring the children to me, for God's kingdom belongs to such as these." And the people are astounded. Into this mix enters the rich young ruler, who comes with the right question to the right person. He asks Jesus, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus talks about the commandments and then says to him, "You must give away all of your riches." But for this young ruler, the riches define who he is, and he goes away unhappy. The crowd are amazed. Jesus saying the rich man had got it all wrong, and yet welcoming children. Jesus says we must become like children to inherit God's kingdom. The challenge here is that we must come to God with simplicity. It's not about how much we have or how much we own or what we know, what we understand. It's about coming to him with simplicity. Finally, there is a story of a blind beggar. This blind beggar discovers that Jesus is walking nearby, and he shouts out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And the crowd say, "Be quiet, be quiet." But he shouts even louder and louder and louder until Jesus calls the disciples to bring him over. Jesus says to the blind beggar, "What do you want?" He could have asked for anything, for money or riches, but instead he asks for his eyesight back. Suddenly, Jesus does the miraculous. The blind man can see again. It's important that we come to God with our real needs, not the superficial needs, but the very core need that we have. It's because of Jesus' death and resurrection that he's been hinting about in this passage that we can come to God today. It's not about the right dress code, but it's about coming to God with the right heart. It's about coming to God with expectancy, coming to God with humility, coming to God with simplicity, and coming to God with our very real needs that we have today.